Miss Jeffries, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Glad that it is a Friday, close to break,
Yes.
and be a well-deserved break. Y'all know you've been working very hard this school year. Really appreciate all that you've done, not just for the students, but for the vertical team, for the school. You've been a very positive person on the team thus far. We want to just continue that energy that you have, as it continues to speak the vision that's coming to life through your actions. All right. And so, pretty much on today, just kind of want to see how we're doing in regards to our goals and some of the non-negotiables we have around instruction and what we're doing
Okay.
with regards to the Newberry Eureka Math Block.
Okay.
Okay. And so when I came in on yesterday to do just an informal walkthrough, just seeing some different things going on in the classroom in regards to pacing. Just kind of want you to speak a little bit to pacing curriculum wise, pacing within the block, and just kind of let me know how are things going from what's going on in the class on yesterday.
Okay. As far as curriculum, I thought I was, I am 2 lessons behind, but actually when I was looking at the calendar, next week I'm going to be ending lesson 38.
Okay.
No, not next week, I'm sorry, the week
After Thanksgiving.
after Thanksgiving, I'm actually going to be ending. So they wanted me to be ending it and starting on Module 4, but in our training they said Module 4 is now moved to after Module 6.
Right.
And so this week I'll finish up is 2-digit times 2-digit multiplication, which is Module 3. So that first week in December I will be on Module 5.
Right.
So I'm
We're on pace.
yes, I'm on pace.
Maybe a day
Yeah,
off.
I'm probably like 2 days off.
Okay. Okay.
But I think, especially with some of the I can make it up.
Okay. So how are you going to make it up? I guess that's my next
I
question.
know like some of those lessons in fractions are decomposing fractions, and because we talk a lot about now I can't think of what it's called, unit fractions.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a lot of breaking it down just in so 1/10 plus 1/10 plus 1/10 plus, but another lesson covers it. Well, you can combine these and say 2/10.
Right.
So I could combine those lessons.
Okay.
I know I can make up some days doing that.
Okay. That'll work. And when it comes to ensuring that all students meet mastery on that particular standard that you're combining, what are some strategies that you'll probably put in place just to ensure that the pacing for them isn't too fast? Or how would you kind of catch them up if it is going too fast?
Actually, when the reason why I say combine them is because last year what I noticed, since that was our first year, my kids were already doing it on their own. They were like, well, can't I say this, this plus this plus this, and this the same thing? And so they were kind of doing it on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I will have some students that will only be able to. So I know that's a good time for me. I can pull them in a small group and, work with them. But I know some of my students, they're going to automatically pick it up because even in the addition and subtraction, we were decomposing numbers like that.
Mm-hmm.
They'll say, well, can we do it this way too? Can we say this plus this? And even in the multiplication when they were decomposing it. So I know some are going to pick up on it right away.
Okay.
But the ones that aren't, I know I can pull them. Or when my extra support's in here, I can have them work with them.
Definitely want to make sure we utilize those extra
Yes.
support staff.
Yes.
So they push in, have things already laid out for them.
Okay.
And so pretty much they can kind of go and just do, some of that lifting that, you can do, that the students who will be getting support from the additional support teacher and you, they're getting a double dose of it.
Okay.
And so that'll be perfect. One thing I did want to ask is in regards to that extra time that we have indicated in the Newberry Math Block for small groups.
Mm-hmm.
And so how we want to use that time to not only work with skills that they may come up on that they may not get, but how we're going to use corrective instruction to help get those students on some of the previous skills that they did not master.
Yeah.
And so just making sure that you're utilizing that time for that throughout the specific days that we outlined as well, because we don't want them to get left behind
No.
by any means. So just make sure we always are being very strategic about how we're using their time within the block.
Okay.
And speaking of those students, in regards to the SMART goal that we had with NWA coming up, do you remember what our target goal
Yeah,
is?
for 15% of our students to score 50% or higher.
Okay.
So I was kind of looking, I miss, I can't remember her name, Miss McMorris, she gave me her data. So I kind of went through, just to jot it down like a list, and I have about 37 that are, I started at like 25 and went, some were exactly 50. I had three that were exactly 50. So I kind of went from 25 on to almost 50, and I had 37 that are like a little bubble.
Okay.
And then I had, you know what? It might be 31, because I had 6 that were like single digits, and I wrote their names separate. And now I can't remember if I put them in the total. So it may be 31 students, but that are right there that I need to. They're in my bubble that I can move.
Good. Right. And we want to make sure, especially with those students who are on the bubble, because not only do we have to maintain the students who already scored 50% already, we got to grow the students who are on like the bubble.
95, 98.
Exactly.
I was like, woo!
Yes, and I'm looking at one student in particular, just a few students who I see like on that bubble: Kennedy Buckner, Bledsoe, Sharana Pittman, Kirk, Hudson.
Right,
like I see a lot of them who score in that 40th percentile, and just making sure we're paying special attention to them, so they can actually, those are going to be the ones who are going to cause us to meet our goal.
Yes.
And hopefully, I don't even want to say not meet our goal, because we're not going to even look at that. We want to make sure we shoot for what we're striving for, and those students are going to be the students who are going to help us put over the top.
Yeah.
And so just making sure we're very intentional specifically around those students out of each of the classrooms, that we are honing in to see how that they're doing in regards to the instruction that you're already providing, also how they're doing on their do nows, which are review items of TCAP, TN ready,
things from the last benchmark that we didn't do, and I pulled out those questions they didn't do so well on.
And even in regards to the benchmarks, I looked at the benchmark assessments, and I kind of wanted to use those as a guide of probably what we will see to project who will score proficiency in regards to 50% percentile or higher. And I'm seeing that we are on target for meeting our goal, and just kind of making sure that we have a sense of urgency around the students and building their efficacy, so they can take ownership in what they're doing, so they can say, I know I got to strive to be better, and putting those measures in place, especially around talking to them in regards to what it is that they may have to grow in, and just make sure they're using those student data trackers as well.
Okay.
All right. And I did have one other question when I was in the classroom, looking at how pacing within the components of the lesson, how is that flowing? So
with the skill we're on right now is division, but they're learning using a place value chart. So I'm teaching them on the place value chart, and then I'm also teaching them standard algorithm, but we're doing it at the same time. So it's very time consuming, because they're, literally having to, like draw, and then divide them into groups. So they're literally having to go one by one. And so I have students at different levels. I have, some that can say, oh, wait a minute, that's 5, and well, 5's not a factor, 5's not a multiple of 2, so I know that I'm going to have one left over, so that they can automatically do it, and I have some that literally have to go through. And then we're trying to, they need to get the conceptual understanding, so it's taking longer. So what I'm having to do is really, for each of my groups, customize the lessons, so change the fluency, so the application problem, this group, we may have to, our fluency may be different. I may have them, if I know I'm working on division problems with divisors of 2, 3, and 4,
Mhm.
then their fluency may be, okay, write the multiples of 2, 3, and 4 because I know that that's what they need and they can actually use it for their lesson and it's not wasted time.
Yes, very good strategy. Very good strategy.
And then like some of my groups, they're just doing this. Like I'm letting them choose what strategy because I'm teaching them all the different ways.
Mhm.
And then some they have to use this and go with this at the same time so they can really understand what they're doing.
Gotcha.
It's that conceptual. And in our training they said that 4th grade is the first time that they do this.
That is correct.
And the 5th grade teacher said, this is the strategy that I have to teach them, so I'm glad you're doing this.
Mhm.
So it makes me feel good that I am spending the time.
Right.
But it is throwing my pacing off. So I'm really just having to, in the lesson, look at the time and say, okay, where can I cut? What does this group,
Mhm.
where can I change it up to customize it just for them?
Gotcha.
So,
And one thing that we want to make sure that when we're doing the lesson, especially with knowing that students are having the time, it may take a little longer for them to complete this particular component. Like I say, as long as we are still hitting that fluency, even though it doesn't have to necessarily be a sprint or how you want just something real quick, we want to just make sure we continue to build that fluency part of because it's going to be pivotal for them throughout the course of the year and when they move on to the next grade. And then on the application part, just quick application problem, hands off, letting them see how they actually manipulate and grapple through that particular work, and then doing a quick check for understanding to see how they went, and then moving into the lesson. Just making sure we keep those components evident because the way that it's written out for Eureka, those are the things that's going to actually enhance their accuracy going forward.
And what I've been doing, depending on the application problem, because most of them for these have been previously taught skills. So, and one of their areas of growth on their last benchmark was the multi-step problems. So I've been taking the application problem and putting it as my do now.
Gotcha.
That way it's still getting covered, but I'm trying to hit 2 things at one time.
Right.
Because this needed it and this needed it,
yes.
and I'm trying to combine them.
Okay.
So I'm trying to figure out where I can customize.
And also when we have our collaborative planning and our vertical team meetings, just make sure that feel free to share that into the space so we can give suggestions, and the teachers who are in there may also have suggestions on ways that you can kind of get the best bang for your buck in regards to manipulating it so you won't have to be doing so much on one end and losing time on another end. And so when you were stating about the peer observation and how Ms. Randall came and observed you, if I'm not mistaken, how with her teaching 5th grade, she immediately noticed that this is what I'm going to be doing next year.
So they can't tell me they didn't learn.
Exactly. Not only that, but just knowing that it's a sense of if it's ever a way in which you feel as though, okay, maybe the way I'm showing them and the way Miss Randall's showing
maybe
them,
she's doing something different.
maybe she's doing something right. And that's where the collaborative part comes in. And that's why we want to make sure when we have those meetings that we're very open and we've been doing that thus far. Very open, reflective about some of the practices that are being used, because at the end of the day, we are servicing all students, just like your strategies help the kindergarten teacher. The 5th grade teacher can help out what you need, and vice versa. So we just want to make sure we continue to build that amongst the team. And so in regards to just some of my other things, just looking at how you've been in regards to the flow of the lesson. That's why I wanted to make sure that when your peer observer came in, that they noticed some of the things that you were doing so they can take it back to their classroom. And when I went to visit that teacher's classroom, I saw some of the same practices that they observed in here, that they felt like it was going to be a good thing to use in their classroom. I saw them doing. And so that's the whole purpose. That's what we want. And so just kind of what we learned inside that room, it goes out, it spreads, and we continue to do better with one another, and especially in regards to Eureka Math, since it is fairly new and we're still kind of learning, but we do have a lot of people on the team who are very well versed in it. All right.
Hopefully we stick with it.
Yes.
Because the second year, it's like, now I see why we're doing this.
Yes,
it's all starting to come together.
Exactly.
And then when it does help when you go to another grade, because like when I went to first, I was like, okay, I'm hearing the same thing, same language, same. So these kids are hearing it. I'm seeing You know, I'm doing the same stuff I'm
The
doing in here.
same stuff.
So like, it's all coming together. Like the pieces are starting to come together.
And that's real good. And I think if anything, that makes us more marketable as a team, because I think we'll have a team. Is my goal by the end of the year,
Yeah.
and then I can teach K through fifth grade math. Okay, well, it sounds good.
It does.
But you know, some of the
You're
same
right.
concepts doing, you
Yeah,
know, you
you're
like,
right.
yeah, the concepts, yeah, but
Yeah.
everything else, I like Ryan. But it's very good to have just those open discussions, and you all are really doing a lot of hard work. I'm really appreciative of the team. I just want you to know that I've echoed this to them, and just let you all know that the work that we're doing is serving the best interests of kids. We're living the vision of the math team, servicing all students, dedicated to these data-driven results, and just making sure that we're using the processes along the way to help enhance that so we can meet our SMART goals. Do you have any other questions?
No.
Okay. Well, we'll definitely, after Thanksgiving break, we'll be back in just to check in, do some informal walkthroughs, and move more into that core action 2 and kind of go into a core action 3, which we'll be focusing on in January.
Okay.
So just kind of start getting abreast of the information and start implementing that in your classrooms ahead of time so we can, you know, be very reflective in regards to what we can do to enhance those practices.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so
Thank
much, Ms.
you.
Jeffries.